All right. Hey, if you own a home in El Paso, you need to hear this, man. You really need to hear this. All right, so hold on, y'all. Hold on. Let me make sure I got everything right. Sure, we're good. Settings, audio, general mic, speaker. Okay. All right, man. So again, if you're in El Paso, you definitely need to hear this. All right. There's a very high chance that you're overpaying your property taxes right now. And most homeowners don't even realize they could fight it, which is crazy, right? I'm not talking about the small difference. I've seen homeowners save hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars just by understanding this process, right? So in today's episode, I'm going to break this down a little bit better for you guys. So understand, how does property taxes actually work here in El Paso? Again, why your home or why your value might be higher than it should be. And then we're going to talk a step by step on how to protest it in the right way, right? Again, no fluff, no confusion, just real information you can actually use immediately. Because listen, I just got my tax bill today, so we got to lock in, right? So what's happening right now? Let's start with what's going on right now in the market. El Paso's been growing, more development, more demand, more people moving here, especially with Fort Bliss. And when that happens, property values go up. But here's the issue. Just because values are going up does not mean your tax assessment is accurate. A lot of these values are generated using mass data algorithms, trends, and averages, not your actual home. So if you jump this year, that doesn't automatically mean it's correct. All right. So you got to remember that overall. Now, how does property taxes work? Let's simplify how this works because this is where most people get confused. In El Paso, your home value is determined by the El Paso Central Appraisal District, right? Now, here's the key. They do not set your property tax. We talked about this. They only determine what your home is worth. Your actual tax bill comes from different entities. Got to remember that. So you're talking about the city, you're talking about the county, you're talking about the school corporations, you're talking about the fire department, police, um, the MUDs, PIDs, all those things take up, right? So think of it like this. EPCAT equals your value, and tax entities equals the rate. And when you multiply that together, that's your tax bill. So if your value is wrong, everything is off. All right. So why do people overpay? Now let's talk about why so many homeowners are overpaying. And the number one reason, of course, they're not checking their value. Most people just take that notice in the mail and assume that is correct. And then number two, the appraisal. Districts walk through your home. They don't walk through your home. They don't know. Again, you got to remember that. So if your kitchen is outdated, if your flooring needs work, stuff like that, if your home needs repairs, remember, central appraisal can't see that. So they're using general data. Now, the number three reason, right? Comps. Sometimes they're pulling properties that don't truly match your home. And of course, number four, no protest history. If you don't challenge your value, it can continuously increase year after year. So again, just because they say your home is worth 300,000 doesn't mean that's what it actually sell for. Okay, so remember that at the end of the day, those are all great points that we have to understand when it comes to these property taxes. And I would say that last key, that number four piece, if you don't protest your taxes at all, I'm sorry. Well, maybe these just don't like me, but um, that could be your punishment. You can get punished for that, to be honest, because it's like you could be living in a home for 3, 4 years. It's kind of like you're basically without protesting, you're just saying, okay, you're confirming that value is correct by not saying anything, even though you may not agree with it. So remember, every year you need to protest your taxes. Don't take it upon yourself to say, it's too much work. It makes no sense. I have no reason to fight them. I'm not going to be able to, beat them, whatever. But, again, we're going to talk about this towards the end of the video. And I'm going to give you some real step-by-step guidance on what you can do and how to protest your property taxes the right way, okay? So definitely stay tuned to the end. But again, at the very, very beginning, you should be getting your notices. Like I said, I got my notice today, and I have not protested my taxes. And I bet you, well, at least for the home I'm in currently. So I will be doing it this year. So Central Appraisal District, be ready. All right, be ready. All right, so now we're gonna go to how to step by step, just a how to step to step. Now, what matters the most is how to actually protest your property taxes. So step one, you need to file your protest. You need to file your protest, and this is usually due around the May 15th. Like I said, what is it, April 9th, April 6th right now. Let me go to the Central Appraisal District really quick so I can give you guys a little more information. Let me go here. Okay, so on here, I just want to make sure. So protest deadline, and you can see this on the Central Appraisal District. Actually, let me show you my screen so you guys can see this. That way you know what I'm talking about. So you'd be like, hey, Mike, you making this up, bro. This don't make no sense. I've never heard of this. So you know I'm not bull messing. Share screen, share, allow. We're gonna go right here so you guys can see. Boom. All right. It says it right here. Very, very front. Protest deadline, May 15th. The deadline for filing your property taxes is May 15th or 30 days from the date on your notice. Please click this link to file your protest online. Boom. Here you go. So protest and appeals, evidence, appeals process, appraisal review board. Okay. Let's give you a little bit of information. So we'll read a little bit about this and carry on, okay? But filing a protest and general information. If you wish to appeal the appraised value of your property, you must file the notice of protest within the time allotted. The deadline to file this is May 15th or 30 days from the date of notice of your notice of appraised value. You may file a digital notice of protest from the link provided below. If you like to mail your protest, you can download the protest form, send that in from this site or the Texas Comptroller's website. The deadline to file a protest by any means is May 15th or 30 days from the date of notice. You can file a protest even if you did not receive a notice, because remember, it's telling you the deadline. I mean, it's also telling you 30 days from the time you did receive it. So can't say I didn't receive anything, even though I'll tell you, like, go to Central Appraisal District around this time. There's going to be a lot of people protesting the taxes. There's going to be a lot of people missing these deadlines. And I overheard, conversations and they would work around it, to be honest. I mean, they had people that were frustrated. Hey, can I still process my taxes? It's past the 15th, it's past whatever. If they can do it, I've heard them do it. Now, again, when they have something in black and white, they can follow that. But of course, what I've seen and what I've overheard is like, hey, true customer service. They're trying to make sure everybody can petition their property taxes because they know that's hardship for a lot of people, right? So they don't really kind of force it or go too hard on most people. But again, just be patient, especially if you missed your deadline, and hopefully you can get there in a lot amount of time. All right. But anyway. So I want to go ahead and go back here. And then, so I don't go in detail about this, right? But at least you can see on the Central Appraisal District. And then from there, you can see protest. You can see the evidence. So that's what's going to get sent out next. It's your evidence. And then from there, they're going to let you know what the appeals process is. And then, of course, they're going to explain a little bit more about the appraisal review board and how that stuff plays out, right? I do everything digital. I just go ahead on the portal, I follow my stuff, all that good stuff, boom, I'm done. So easy. Now, you can see right here. So you have a portal. Options to file your protest by the portal. File now. Speed is quick. Convenience is quick. Meet appraiser. No, you don't need to. Right? Because everything's being done on the portal. And then you got, of course, these different ones, and it just tells you a little more information. Now, let's read this part. We'll read this part and then we'll carry on. So after ARB rules on your protest, it will be sent to order determination board order by certified mail in counties with a population of 120,000 or more. I don't want to talk about that. Does it tell me anything else? Oh, evidence. So I think this is a big portion too. So when you're thinking about evidence, the district does not accept anything right here, right? Video files, audio files, websites. Just make sure you can have it. It's on your phone. You can send that in. You can email that in. You can scan it in. Or if you can't do any of that, print it out. Make sure you have enough copies for everybody who's going to be hearing your case. I think that's the easiest way to do it, to be honest. If you want to put your evidence on a CD, just make sure you have multiple, just in case they don't have, something's down or whatever, or something scratched on your CD. Just be careful. Just remember, it's evidence. So you want to make sure you have that information, right? Now let's go ahead and now here we go. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove that. All right. So now understand, this is where most people either win or lose. You want to make sure, right, that you have comparable sales, recent homes that actually sold in your area. This is the best evidence you could have, right? Photos of your property condition. That's another piece that helps. It's going to help you when it comes to this. And then any repair estimates. Right now, for example, I'm getting a lot of stuff repaired with my house when it comes to outside work that needs to be done. I got some issues going on my AC unit. I got some issues I got to do in my bathroom. So I'm going to make sure I compile all of that, and all of that stuff is going to be ready to be presented. And, hopefully that makes sense of why the value of my home needs to be the way it needs to be, right? Now, step 3. Now, you need to submit your protest. Submit your protest. You can either do this online or in person. So, again, now going to step 4, you're talking about what's going to be an informal hearing. So, you're going to go ahead and, like I said, let me repeat those steps for you. I wrote this stuff down, so I'm not all over the place. But like I said, gather your evidence. Make sure you have those comparable sales, photos of conditions of your property, any repair estimates, of course, like I said. The step 3, which what I said you're going to do is make sure you submit your protest. Make sure you submit your protest. Step 4 is going to have an informal hearing. Now, this will be your first opportunity to present your case. All right. This person is supposed to be an appraiser. I don't know how true or not that is, but that first person you speak to is, has the power to go ahead and adjust what needs to be adjusted when it comes to your overall amount of your home. But I promise, at least me specifically, I've heard different stories from different people that, the first person they speak to, they always win their case. They never have to go any further. This has never been the case for me, right? I always have to make it to the ARB board and actually speak to the panel every single time, because I can never come to an agreement. And again, I'm not trying to take a couple grand. I'm taking like 10, 15,000 off, because I'm like, hey, listen, my home was going to sell for this amount, not what you're saying. I don't know how I'll be presented, but hey, listen, I'm going to try to get it to where it needs to be at, because at the end of the day, when those assessments come out, right? Those assessments come out, they're essentially saying this is what your home was going to sell for. Like, I just looked at my assessment that came through the mail today, and it's like a $15,000 jump, like in a year. Like, how is that possible, bro? How is that possible when I'm looking at homes that are sitting on the market in my area for longer than 30, 60, 90 days? I've seen homes on the market, off the market, on the market, go through foreclosure and then get sold. Like nothing's selling quickly over here. So where are you getting this data from to say my home is worth X, Y, and Z? You know? And why did that not play a part? So again, now if needed, you will go to a formal hearing. So the informal hearing is just like one individual, you're going back and forth, but then you and it's not and it's informal in the sense of it's not having to go you, me, it's you saying your case. The other person maybe say a little bit, and then you're presenting whatever you need to present, and it's over with. That's the informal piece. So it is a little easier to make your point in that, in that aspect. But now when you're talking in the formal review board, the appraisal review board, it is a lot more formal because I promise you, the moment you come in, you need to have your evidence ready to go. It needs to get uploaded. It's going to be you. It's going to be a representative of the Central Appraisal District, and there's going to be the ARB appraisal review board panels, like 4 individuals. There'll probably be a mixture of appraisers, homeowners, people that got skin in the game in the neighborhood, in the community. That's how it's supposed to be. And then from there, it's a small room, right? And then you have a projector to the left of you as you walk in. It'll be over to the left of you. Everything will be presented on a big screen. And then essentially, you'll start with your opening statement. The Central Appraisal District will start with their opening statement. From there, you're gonna, like I said, you're stating your case early. They're stating their case. Then from there, you guys are both going to cross-examine each other. And then from there, you're going to do a closing argument, right? And then from that point, now it basically goes to the appraisal review board to ask follow-up questions, and then they're going to go in and make a decision. And it is very, very quick, man. It's very quick. So definitely make sure that if you do decide to do this, you prepare your case, you understand what you're going to say, you know how you're going to say it and how you're going to explain it. And if it's easier for you to write it down, write this down. Write it down. That way you can stay on track and you know where you're trying to get to. Try to make your points as sharp as possible. All right. Because I promise you, you can find yourself rambling, getting upset, getting emotional. I know my first time doing it, I got emotional. I was upset. I'm like, why is my property this value when the school looks like this and the neighborhood looks like this and X, Y, and Z? Like, they don't care about none of that. All right. So take all that out the game. Take all that out your head. All you need to think about is what is sold in your neighborhood. And also use the supporting evidence that the Central Appraisal District is using to justify your property value. Throw holes in that. And one of the biggest ones is, how close are these properties that you say are close to my home in size, bedroom, square footage, whatever, that you're saying is similar to my home? How close are those homes to me? Like in, mile radius, how close are they? Are they even in my subdivision? Are they even close? Because you'll find out, man, those homes could be 10, 15 miles away. That's huge, because I promise you, you know how it is. And a lot of people understand how it is. If you live in El Paso, you get it. You could be in one subdivision, you can go over to the next street, the next main road, or just cross a road, and it's a entirely different neighborhood. Entirely different neighborhood, right? Even if you have a similar property, say, for example, Pebble Hills, for example. Like, I'm close to Pebble Hills, right? And one of the subdivisions here, you got Pebble Hills, like in the middle, and you got another subdivision over here. And we're close, right? My home matches what's across the street, across Pebble Hills. But understand, this neighborhood and what makes up this neighborhood, the characteristics of this neighborhood, does not match my characteristics. All that has to be taken into consideration when we're talking about assessing my property. What my home sells for over here will not sell the same over here in this next subdivision, because the characteristics are different. The neighborhood characteristics are just different, bro. Just and again, I think that's the argument you have to make. You have to start there. You have to poke holes in what evidence they're using and what comps they're using, as well as you explaining what has sold in your neighborhood and how long things are on market, etc. And that's really going to prove your case. On top of if you have any repairs needed, if you know you've done anything, changes to the home, all those things need to be taken into consideration overall, right? So again, now we're at the formal hearing part. So the formal hearing with the appraisal review board, that's where the panel reviews your evidence and makes that final decision. And again, here's the truth. Most cases don't even make it that far if your data is strong. Again, we talked about it. So again, the pro tips or your expert edge. Now, let me give you a strategy right here. Number one, use comps within a half a mile. Again, I just told you that. Focus on sold homes, not listings. Listings don't mean anything unless they've closed. Number three, don't use Zillow estimates. These don't hold weight in a protest. Focus on facts, not emotion. We just talked about this. This isn't just about what your home is worth. It's about what you can prove, and data is always going to win. So do not go in that thing emotional. Have your numbers right. Don't do Zillow estimates. And the best thing you could possibly do, I'm just going to plug it in. Get yourself with a realtor, man. Most realtors would do this for free for you. They would do what's called a CMA, a comparable market analysis, where they're going to give you comps that are in your area within that mile radius. So if you can say, hey, Mike, I don't know how to do this. I don't know where to get started. What do I do? Listen, pick up the phone, call your local realtor, call someone close to you. If you know a realtor that's in your family, have them do a CMA for you. You're going to take that CMA down to the Central Appraisal District, and that is what you're using as evidence, because now you can support that, hey, within the last, and you know what, the other part I forgot to tell you, make sure the home that's sold, these are the most recent homes that sold. So within the last 30 days, if there's anything that's sold in the last 30 days, if you don't have anything in the last 30 days, the last 60 days, nothing in the last 60 days, going in the last 90 days, but you want to have at least 3-4 comps showing that, hey, these homes are similar in size, structure, build, characteristics, all of that. And it matches almost to your home. Hey, this is what they're going for. This is what they sold for. This is, and that's simply all you need to do. And so you're going to prove your point doing that. And that's going to be a difference, because you're going to find yourself completing a CMA. And now you're looking at what the Central Appraisal District is presenting and looking at their CMA, and you're saying, well, I don't see any of these homes in my neighborhood. Again, that's what you're using. You're going to say, hey, listen, this is the question I ask every year. Again, I haven't done it for my primary residence, but for my other properties, I've done this. And when I challenge, the first question I always ask when I go to the formal hearing is, how did you get the comps? And they're going to tell me it was a mass appraisal. It was done through the computer. Did you personally, and my next question, did you personally go out? So the guy that's at the computer, that you personally go out and assess, is going to tell me, there's no way I could possibly do that. There's too many homes in El Paso. We rely on the system. All right. So I immediately do that. Boom. I hit him. Because now you didn't go out there to go see my home. You don't know what's going on, and you use this computer. Okay. So now how do I manipulate that? Like, you got to think about how to argue your point logically. And sometimes I lose my train of thought at that point. I'm going to be honest and be real. But, I think the next follow-up question has to be, in your eyes, how is this system set up? Or not even that. What did your system do to consider how does your system consider what is an actual CMA? Or, however you can word that where it makes sense, where you're basically trying to find out, what is the definition of a CMA? What are the requirements of a CMA? I think that's what I would ask. What makes up a CMA? What are the characteristics or components you need? How far back do you need to go? How close does a home need to be to mine to be a legit CMA? Like, you got to think, like, look, watch Judge Judy for a little bit. You'll start understanding, like, it's little questions that build up to, like, boom, you hit the bomb, right? And I think that's what it is. So as long as you are thinking like that, it's like at the end of the day, does this make sense? So again, we're going all the way back to the beginning. We understand that May 15th, everyone has already, if you haven't received your notice, you're going to come up and receive your notice at some point, hopefully like in the middle of the month of April. You have till May 15th or 30 days from the receipt of your notice to go ahead and appeal your property taxes, right? Appeal your or protest your taxes. You need to go ahead and put in a request form. You need to make sure you submit your evidence. You need to make sure you're ready to go and get your hearing date, right? And if your hearing date don't come in, make sure you're blowing their asses up until you get your hearing date, all right? Let's not drop the ball on it. Let's not like hope and pray that they do it. We need to make sure, right? And then from that point, now we're just going to recap, and now you're going to go in and do your informal hearing. If you cannot agree on whatever you're trying to say your home is worth in the informal, or you guys can't come to an agreement, then you can say, hey, I'm ready to go to a formal hearing. Try your luck with the formal hearing. If you don't like what the formal hearing is saying, I think there is another appeal process you can do as well if you don't agree with the panel. I've never went no higher than that, to be honest. I usually get to the panel, and that's it. You know, I'm either gonna win, lose, or draw at that point. But I'm pretty sure you can go further than that if you like, of course. And again, consult yourself. You know, all what I'm saying right now, and I should have said that disclaimer at the very beginning. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a tax attorney. I'm not any of that, right? I'm just trying to educate you. And this is for educational purposes only. So definitely consult with the right professionals. You know, but I'm just giving you the idea, or just how you should look at this thing and move from there. So now, who should protest? Who should protest? Okay, that's the next question I got to ask you. Who should protest? Now, you might be wondering, should I even protest my taxes? Here's who absolutely should. If your value went up significantly, I just talked about mine went up 15,000 over a year. If you just bought your home, if you're military and you recently PCS'd, if you haven't protested in years, these are the people that should be protesting. Honestly, most homeowners should at least review their value. There's very little downside to protesting, but there can be a big upside. All right. Now, this is what I want to tell you. If you're listening to this and thinking, I have no idea where to start, or I don't have time to pull all this data. I don't have time to pull all this data. That's exactly where I come in. I'm offering free property tax reviews for El Paso homeowners. I'll help you. Absolutely. I'll help you. Look at your current value. Pull real comps. And it's going to show you exactly how to position your protest. All right. No pressure, just education. And if you found this helpful, share with someone here in El Paso, because there's a lot of people overpaying right now and they don't even know it. Listen, tomorrow is the foreclosure auction for the people that can't keep up with their mortgages, right? You also have tax foreclosures. You know what I'm saying? So understand, home ownership is a fun and exciting time. Of course, I'm a realtor. I love homes. I believe everyone should have a home, However, it comes with tremendous responsibility. And this is one of the pieces or components to being responsible as a homeowner, is making sure your assessment is what your assessment is supposed to be. What your value of your home is supposed to be. You do not want to overpay on taxes. Just like when we get these big, large and I didn't know this for the longest, so I was right there with everyone else. Every year you would get, at the end of the year, you file your taxes and you get a tax return. Understand, that's not free money. That's your money. It's always been your money. You just overpaid throughout the year. It's the exact same thing here. You can sit here and ignore what the city's saying your home is worth and just pay it. But why? When your neighbors isn't paying that same amount and they're challenging their property taxes, right? You know, you can look at it a couple ways. You can either say, I'm gonna pay my property taxes and it's for the betterment of the city, the schools, all the entities that make up my property taxes, overall. Now when you look at that, a lot of people ask themselves every day, and I see it all year. And you can see it in all the comments. When you go to city meetings, the biggest things you hear about is the streets, how bad the schools are, and then you see all these vacant buildings downtown. Like you're saying, well, where's my property tax money going? On top of, we already understand that the mayor already campaigned on saying he's going to remove property taxes, right? Now, I don't want to go too deep in this, but this is my opinion on it, and everyone else, I think, believe they've given their opinion on the mayor and the property taxes and overall. And me specifically, if someone's campaigning on something, I think they do it as long as they're doing it with the right intention, that they're going to do something about it or move in that direction, then I'm okay. And so I've heard conversations, I've seen him talk about it and what he plans to do. And if he's going to execute it at some point, I need to still hear that. So don't get me wrong, I'm still on the mayor's because I need to see actionable action overall of what he's planning on doing and how he's going to do it. But he is still saying that, hey, I'm still looking to do this. I'm still trying to figure it out, X, Y, Z. And essentially what's going to happen is the mayor is saying that to remove property taxes overall, we need to have higher sales tax to replace the property taxes. Because we pay a lot in property taxes overall, right? But if you put in a sales tax, then it should make it up. And that's his idea. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's right. I don't know if that's wrong. I don't know if he's going to make enough. I don't know what that's going to look like. But at the end of the day, you do not want to just be overspending on property taxes if you don't believe in what your city government is doing anyway. So I would say it like this, man. For me personally, I'm very involved in my community. I'm very involved with the city overall. And I'm not, if I don't have to give up any extra money, I'm just not, what I'm saying? Like, I love the city. I love everything that's going on. But at the end of the day, man, I got to see actionable items that I know that the city's going in a certain direction. And I'm not saying that I don't see it. I'm starting to see it a little bit. However, there's still a lot of fuzziness there, man. I don't get the warm and fuzzy that things are moving in the direction at the speed that I wanted to at the moment. So, it is what it is on that. But anyway, again, the disclaimer on this video, I just want to make sure because I want to be clear about this, right? This was for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal or tax advice. You may choose any professional or service provider to assist you. All right. Now, I want you guys to really understand this. I want to speak heart to heart with this. Is that when you talk to your mothers, grandfathers, mothers, daughters, friends, family, whoever, have the conversation so everyone can understand what's going on this year. They understand their property taxes. If they have any questions on how to protest, if they understand what exemptions are, have those conversations. If you bought a new build, make sure you definitely look at your property taxes and your property assessment. Make sure it all makes sense. All right. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, of course, I'm always available. My number is 915-487-6602. That QR code at the top right of your screen. goes right to my website. If you have any questions, you want to connect with me or follow me for more content like this. Additionally, if again, I'm not your cup of tea, get with the realtor that is, because this is important. That's one thing about me, man. I love to bring the information out, but you don't have to use me if you choose not to. But I would challenge you to make sure that your realtor understands property taxes and assessments, MUDs and PIDs at a level that they can explain to you. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day. I think what I want to do here is go, okay, we're going to continue the live video, but that is this section. I just want to talk about property taxes, assessments, all that good stuff, what you need to be doing. And I want to go in more details the closer and closer we get to May 15th. So everybody understands, right? Now, what's been going on with me? What have I been doing? First, let me tell you guys, man, being a realtor, again, I'm going to tell you guys, it's not for the faint. It's not for the weak of heart, man. It's very, very difficult being a realtor. And before I became a realtor, right, I always thought, man, they don't do nothing but open doors. Now, some of them do. I'll tell you that. Some of them do. Some of them definitely do. But for the ones that are working, when it comes to negotiations, when it comes to conversations with your clients on educating them on what they're purchasing, how they're purchasing something, what they need to be concerned about as homeowners, if they're looking at a resale and need more education on when it comes to inspections and inspection reports and what makes sense. Like, we're not licensed professionals when it comes to being contractors. However, we've seen enough homes, we've have some general knowledge and ideas of how things should go when it comes to what your home should look like when you're looking at a resale. Same as when you're looking at a new build. So definitely maximize that time you do have with your realtor to truly educate you on the home buying process, the maintenance process of your home. And if they don't have that information, they definitely should have a contact to help you with that information, right? Nice handyman, a great inspection company, they're going to have that information for you, so they can definitely be of service to you overall. So even if they say, I don't know, but I can get back with you with the right information, take it. I'm taking it. So, but essentially what's going on with me, man, we've been closing deals, we've been getting under contract, we've been working, and that's been great. So now what I'm trying to do, just as a realtor, as a business owner, is just, of course, get my systems a little bit better. I'm definitely just reviewing what I've done so far. My last couple of transactions is saying, well, how can I improve on that service? One of the gaps that I'm having, not difficulties with, but one of the gaps that I want to make sure I'm doing better at is from the part where we get the appraisal to closing. Like, there's a lot of dead space in the transaction, and that right there is a true dead space. But I want to make sure I'm interacting with my clients where they understand where things are going, understand that, yeah, things are slowed down, because at the beginning of the transaction, everything's high paced, boom, 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 boom. But once you get that appraisal back, things slow down, then you're going to get ready to close, and that's when things can just pick back up. So, you know what I'm saying? So I just want to make sure that, one, you're educated, my clients are educated, two, they're ready, and if they need any documentation, to make sure they have that readily available. Another thing that I want to get better at, overall, is just communicating with the professionals that you have to work with through a transaction, right? So, for example, like, you have to work with a lender, escrow officer, if you're going to get something inspected, an inspector. I already said lender. You're also working with, the title company. But that's the escrow officer, so it's one or two people, depending if people have assistants or not. So just making sure that, and then I have a transaction coordinator. So making sure everybody is communicating together. in harmony, just sync, like boom, boom, boom. Everyone's communicating, everyone knows where everything's at. That right there, if you don't have the right systems that I'm learning, you know, that could become difficult. But as a realtor, you stay on top of it, you making sure things are happening. If we are short on something, I'm following up. That's one thing I pride myself on is my follow-up game, just making sure I'm following up precisely. Now, my goals moving forward. So I do enjoy this. However, for most of you guys know, man, I love commercial properties. I love it because I believe that's where, to be honest, in the real estate game, that's where the most money is in the most opportunity development and commercial. So the goal is to get into commercial at some point. My transition from the residential side will be creating a team of individuals to keep this piece going. But within a year or two, I definitely like. I'm not even thinking about being a broker because the broker is a whole nother. I don't even know. Maybe my mindset would change at some point, but at the moment, man, I don't see myself wanting to do that. But I definitely want to get into commercial space. Definitely want to get into commercial space because I feel like there's only so many there's only so many people that's in the game that can do it. And to be honest, it's like you don't know who those people are. They're quiet. You may not see me on social media anymore, to be honest. I'll be real, man, because um, I just I really enjoy it, and I just want to understand the packaging and everything else. So I got some training I want to do. I got some different opportunities that I hope presents itself throughout the year. So that's the goal on that piece. And then I think what else I want to talk to you guys about. I think that's about it, man. Just like I said, systems being more disciplined overall. I think that's the next thing I'm doing. Today I got to sit down with a lovely realtor, Victoria. Man, she was great, and we're holding ourselves accountable with each other at the moment on Mondays, right? And so I like the way she thinks, and it just helps me think from a different perspective on overall my schedule and my discipline of what I'm trying to do, and make sure that I'm involving my family because that's the other thing that I'm noticing is like, man, this is time consuming, right? And then you start to I don't want to say push your family away, but you can get consumed with this. You could get very, very consumed. Like when my phone go off, I promise you, if someone text me right now, I'm responding quickly, quickly, you know. And I want to continue to have that level of service all day, every day, you know. But I also want to be disciplined to the point that, I'm not having distractions when I'm home, you know. So that helps. But again, like I said, from the beginning, what we talked about overall is just property taxes, understanding the property taxes. If you have an opportunity to talk to anybody, talk to your friends, family, loved ones about it. If they need any help, of course, I'm always here. I would love to help you. On the other end of the spectrum is just talking to you guys about overall myself as a realtor, and what I've done, what I've accomplished, what's going on. And then lastly, of course, my goals and what I'm trying to complete on that piece, right? And then I guess I will leave you guys with this is I think that's gonna be it, man. That's what I'm gonna leave you guys with. But if you have any questions, comments, concerns, that's the other thing I was gonna tell you guys about. Tomorrow is the first Tuesday of the month. It's a long, yeah, so it's the 7th right now. So the first Tuesday of every month, we know what it is, right? We got the foreclosure auction down at the Coliseum, El Paso County Coliseum, 10 o'clock. I try to get there at 10 o'clock. I'm not going to, it's not like it was back in the day that I could stay there all day. I can't stay there all day anymore. I'm super busy, super, like, got a bunch of stuff going on. But I'm going to try to make a presence there, get some content, of course, and then just let you guys know what's going on at the foreclosure auction. But again, if you need any help, assistance, want to know the process, some information about it, absolutely let me know. Um, Again, when it comes to the foreclosure auction, and I'm still seeing it, it's just a lack of education at the end of the day. You know, a lot of homes go for sale and they go through the auction and they have a ton of equity because people don't understand that they can sell their home. They could sell their home. You know, they can organize what's called a short sale. But so a lot of people just crumble into a ball and they're like, man, I don't know how to deal with this. It's overwhelming. It's embarrassing. It's all these different emotions. However, I would say take a deep breath, pick up the phone and call someone, get some advice. Don't shut down because you don't want to lose your home for no reason. Hell, you don't want to lose your equity just because you're angry because people will take your equity. Like I said, man, that's I think that's the saddest part right there. So again, I think overall for my business, just my processes, my systems, the activities as well is one of the big things I want to do. Trying to do events. I want that to be my bread and butter when it comes to lead generation, when it comes to everything that I do. And I don't want to have anything to do with real estate, you know, besides when I do my seminars. Like I want to continue to push that content out. And then I guess my last thing I'll tell you guys about is me being a YPN co-chair and my responsibilities and what I feel like YPN is. So if you're a realtor and you're listening to this, YPN is the Young Professional Network, right? And I always got to say it's not young as an individual, it's just young in the industry. So you can be 50, you could be 60, you could be 20, you know, but if you're brand new in an industry, this is like a incubator system that can truly help you integrate effectively into the real estate market. Again, when you get your license, it's just all bookwork, 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 bookwork. I mean, of course, you need to understand that. But when it comes to the sales aspect, when it comes to the human aspect, when it comes to building a team quickly, you know, when I did the last orientation, what I told everybody in that room, when we did the orientation, this last one, with 20 something new realtors, I said, hey, stop what you're doing. Vision yourself right now. You guys are all going to be realtors here in the next 20 minutes after you do your pledge with our president, Alex. All right. You walk out the door, you go down to wherever you're going to go to, and boom, you get a lead. That lead calls you the next day and say, I want this house. Or I need you to list a house. You got a client and you got something. You got a real client. They're ready to move forward. Who's your escrow officer? Who's your lender? Who's this? Who are you going to use? Are you going to use your brokerage resources? Are you going to use this? You know, things. This is a business and you truly got to treat it like a business. And the moment starts from the point that you decide you want to be a realtor. You know, and I would also say as a realtor in your associations, you need to maximize that. You need to maximize it because you're paying for it. That's one. Two, there's so many things happening that you don't even know or understand unless you're going to these meetings. You need to go to these committee meetings. You need to find out what's the most important information that I need to understand expeditiously. Some of these committees, man, I promise you, they're worth it. And they're paid with your dues. So you just got to go. But for example, you have the governmental committee. Top level information coming out of there. Top level information, but you're not going to know it unless you're in the room. Guarantee it. You just not going to know. You have, of course, a YPN committee. You have the educational committee. So there's a what is it called? An education fair. Something coming up this Friday. I'm probably going to attend. However, like I said, all of these committees don't mean nothing if you don't utilize them. All of the resources, whether you get from Your local association, state association, national association don't mean nothing unless you use them. I just got my designation for MRP, right? And then I'm going to continue to get another designation here pretty soon, just to gather more knowledge and get on more directories and all this good stuff, man. Like, so if you're following lawsuits, if you're following X, Y, and Z, understand that at the end of the day, no matter how things go, if you decide you're going to be a realtor, be involved, understand what's going on. Don't be naive to everything. I think that's it. I'll have a whole nother conversation for that piece later. But I appreciate everybody coming on. Thank you so much. You have any questions, comments, concerns, definitely hit me up. You see my number at the bottom. The message I want to leave you with you today is be great, be grateful. Don't be humble anymore, because at the end of the day, you know your stuff. Be disciplined. Be next level. Look at the glass half full instead of half empty. And don't let nobody bring you down, because you got too much time left to accomplish what you want to accomplish. And I got a lot of stuff I want to accomplish. And I'm actually enjoying it at this point. So when things are getting frustrated, just take a breath, breathe, vent, because I vent all the time. Whoever's gonna listen, I'm gonna vent. But then I'm ready to go. So my energy level is a little down today, but tomorrow it's gonna be like 10. I'm gonna be back up, So appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate you. Any questions, comments, concerns, however you want to contact me, hit me up. Let me know. All right. Till next time. Peace.